lot of parents, back to the point, is a lot of parents, don't really sign. So then with faith, it becomes even complicated since they don't have that communication. A child needs to know that it's important to go to church and see the vision and the faith.
My parents had a very strong faith, so to them it was very important for me to have a faith, and that's why they sent me to St. John's. Hopefully, this is good information.
We'll see. Alright, next slide. And now we're going to focus on religious interpreting.
I don't remember. You take it, Father Klossman. I'm looking at my printout here, and it looks like we jumped a whole lot of slides. I'm nervous. He's the one that developed this PowerPoint. Oh, I see Rome written down here. There were different organizations throughout the United States that were closing. And so we did go to Italy. This is the sign that they use in Italy. But there were deaf individuals that came from all around the world. And they came up with some things that they wanted the bishop to focus on about religion and having interpreting services available. I went in June. I was able to see the Pope give a benediction every week. And there has to be maybe between 50 to 100,000 people that show up. But they had picked different representatives. Did we have 2 or 4 from the United States?
Yes.
Maybe even 5. But the deaf people wanted a focus on themselves to be able to have access to religion. And this is what they asked for. The National Catholic Office for the Deaf.
Marika.
Marika Kovacs-Houlihan was involved.
Yes.
Amy June Rowley was involved. I always think of her husband's name, not hers. Her last name is Rowley. But there were different individuals that came together at Gallaudet.
Yes.
They worked 7 years on the Mass and came up with the frozen text of the Our Father prayer. And soon that DVD will be released. Father Kussman became involved in the project later on.
The deaf inform that they want interpreters, that it's important. that they wanna have interpreters so that they can understand everything clearly. Understand what the church means.
Also, the Vatican wanted world standard, so we really worked on having it be very clear and understandable. I mean, this was a project that took several years. So the goal was that it be standard. We brought in a professor that was very knowledgeable in Latin to work with
Wonderful.
Marika, Amy. What is the Vatican?
Thank you. Good question. The Vatican is like our center.
It is the head church.
Yes. That is more like our leader.
The Pope lives there, cardinals,
That's what it is.
it's centralized.
It's a good question.
They have addressed different conflicts, problems.
Next slide. Okay. So I'd like to ask you guys a question. What do you imagine when you hear the word religious interpreting? What are your ideas? Church? Church, okay. Anything else? Sunday school, Bible study, children's study, frozen text, books, music, prayers, many prayers. The concept of religion, mass, communion. So we want to talk about religious interpreting. What do they do? So what do interpreters do? Or what are their responsibilities, religious interpreters? What is their goal? To culturally mediate? Yes. Good. All good. Want some more? Concept of the priest, what do you mean? It's a little hard to explain, that's fine, it's okay. So church members and then the deaf church members have the same experience. Thank you. We want them to have the same experience. We don't want them to be left out, the deaf members. Maybe sometimes the deaf members are confused, same as the hearing. Well, sometimes, interpreter correction, sometimes an interpreter will ask a hearing person if they're confused and if they need any clarification.
Sometimes deaf parents prefer to stay with their deaf Sometimes parents who have deaf children prefer to stay with their child. At St. Matthias is where I work as a deacon, and Father Klossman is affiliated with St. Jerome. And even though he is presenting Mass in sign language, we do bring in interpreters to voice, just as I have interpreters to voice for me.
Some deaf just wanna go to one church, so that they're all together and they can pray together and socialize. Some even drive a half hour just to go to that church, just so that they have that connection and the importance. There are some times where people can't drive a half hour, so they have to go to a church near them, and they're the only deaf person in that church. Sometimes they'll provide an interpreter for there.
Most churches are responsible for paying for interpreters. You know, deaf individuals are used to driving distances. I live a half hour, and you know, usually on Sundays, the roads are pretty empty, so I don't mind making the drive.
So with your ideas, cultural mediation, access,
You know, sometimes it's hard to find interpreters for the weekend.
it's true. So now you kind of have an idea of what religious interpreting is. So you all study different types of fields for interpreting, so give me some ideas and examples of those. Medical, education, legal, theater, religious? What about religious? Mostly when you ask that question, they don't really think of it, it's at the bottom of their list.
Oh.
They look at religious interpreting as not really a specialized field. Bless you, sorry, it's a habit. I think that means never experienced religious interpreting. Or, yes, that's right.
There is a lot of specialized vocabulary in theology.
So I hope that you put those in the same put religious interpreting as the same category as legal or education. Because you know, God makes medicine, God makes a theater, God makes legal. So so maybe religious is above the other